Hello everyone, welcome to the next lesson of our Spring Security course. So in this lesson, we are going to take a deep dive into the Spring login details, right? So in the previous one, we had a discussion about the overall workflow, how you create a custom login page, how you create your own user detail service. You basically define the DAO authentication provider and injecting our user service and all those things, right? And we have talked the different terminologies in terms of the Spring Security, for example, authentication provider, provider managers, filter chains, filters, and all those things. And we already know that those are work together. So I think it's a high time we at least look into one of the workflow in terms of the login process to understand it. And see how all these things works together internally to authenticate and authorize your application. So before we get into the deeper detail, I want you to look into this workflow very closely, because we are going to look, or we are going to debug it and see how the entire workflows, the entire things works together, right? So you, as a customer, you get into the onto the site, you fill your details, right? And there is a certain set of filters. If you remember, there is a delegating filter proxy, that is an entry point. It basically delegate it to the filter proxy, and filter proxy will have a set of the filter chains. We will look into those one, but that's a little advanced topic, how the entire those things works. So for now, remember that we have a filters. It's nothing but a representation of your servlet filters, and Spring Security has a certain set of filters that they perform a certain functionality. So in terms of a login process, we have a username and password authentication filter, right? That's a part of one of the security filter chain. Now what it does is, it basically see if you are requesting for a username and password based authentication. If yes, it going to create the token is nothing what it use your username and password and pass it on to the authentication manager, and then this authentication manager determines what is the provider which I should use to authenticate your authenticate that customer, right? And there are certain methods, we will look into those ones. Now there can be two results out of the authentication process. Either you are authenticated, you have a valid username and password, or you are not authenticated, right? In both the scenarios, there is a certain post process which Spring Security will do for you. For example, if it's successful, the session authentication strategy, what it is going to do is, it's going to create a new session for you. It's going to assign a session for you and store certain things into the session. A security context holder is the centralized location where all the authenticated objects are stored. That is where that's the final destination for your authentication object, right? So it will fill the Spring Security context. Remember me service, we will talk about it for now. So if you have injected it, it is going to call a remember me service. Otherwise there is a null remember me service. That means it's not going to do anything. There are certain event listeners. We will also going to talk about that into the later chapters. And then there are handlers, success handlers. So for now, what we are interested in is the session authentication strategy and security context holders. Rest of the things we will talk later on this series, right? And similarly, if there is a failure, it is going to clear everything from the security context holder. If you remember, I said earlier, this is the central point where all the authentication objects are stored. So Spring Security want to make sure that if the authentication is failed, there is no kind of a data which kind of you're exposing it. And again, remember we service, once we inject it, it's basically make sure that any cookies or any database data related to your login process is cleared out. And then there are certain set of handlers, those will be invoked. All right. So now what I'm going to do is, we have created that login process in the last chapter, right? In this one, we are going to put some debugger points, and we will start understanding a couple of different things in terms of how this entire stack work, right? In the previous one, we have done the injection and see everything is working fine. Now in this one, we will dig deeper and see how the all things are actually internally working together to do all the magic for you. So our application got started and I have already opened few things. So first is the username password authentication filter, right? If you remember from this screen, that is the filter which is going to intercept the request. It's a part of the standard stack. Again, in the previous lesson, I said, even I explained you how you can see what are the different filters that comes out of the box, right? And what you can do is go to your application property file and enable this filter, and you will get what are the all default filters. Those are configured for you out of the box. Okay. Now let's go back to our username and password authentication provider. So this username and password authentication providers implement the abstract authentication processing filter. So let's go there, and what I want to, so it's nothing but a standard filter, right? Let's go there and look into the filter. Okay. And what is interesting for us is the do filter method, right? And within the do filter method, it is performing certain things. But what interesting thing is, it says attempt authentication. So it's trying to do the authentication on us. Okay. And if I go to the authentication, that is a part of our username and password authentication filter. Okay. Now this method is going to do a certain things for us, and I will keep kind of a pointing through the last chapter or the tutorial. So if you haven't watched that one, I highly recommend that go back and complete that tutorial. All right. So in the last one, while I was explaining the login page, I specifically said that there is a requirement from the Spring Security that if you want to use the out of the box security workflow, your username field should have the name as a username and password field should have a name as a password, right? And the reason for that one is, you see attempt authentication method, and this, let me increase the size. Okay. So this authentication has a three things in short, right? The form type should be post, a field username field name should be username, and the password field should be password. Those were the three requirements, right? That's what I highlighted there. Now the first thing it does is it says it has to be a post method. If it's not a post method, then it's going to throw the exception saying that this required method is not supported. Now let's see what is the obtained username. Okay. So it's basically doing nothing. There is no magic here, right? It's basically getting a specific parameter from the request, and similarly for the password, obtained password, it is getting the specific parameter from the request, right? Now the name of this parameter is, if you see, username and password. All right. So that's why I said earlier that you have to make sure that those fields are matching. If the fields are not matching, what is going to happen is you are going to get an error saying it's not able to find the username and password. All right. Now let's do one thing. So I have added a debugger point here. I'm going to the login page. Okay. I'm going to fill the details for us. All right. So we are here into the authentication method, right? Let's go there. I'm going to get into the attempt authentication method. So the first thing is, I know that this is a post request. Now it will get the username because that's the one I'm passing. If you see, keep looking into this section as well, right? So we have the two things. Okay. Now the other thing which I want to show quickly is, you see, this is basically creating a username password authentication token, and I will tell you why it is creating that one. There is a relation and there is a reason behind why it is doing that one. Okay. Now the first thing it is doing is nothing but it's creating that username password authentication token and doing nothing but just passing the username and password. So I'm not going to get into details. It's not doing any kind of business logic there. Okay. And then it sets the detail. So details are nothing but if you want to look into it, basically create that builder. Okay. So you can look into those details. Now this is the interesting part. Okay. Now we have the we got the username and password. We have this username and password authentication filter. Okay, now it is going to get the authentication manager, and in the initial one where I was giving you an overview of the filters, I said that there is a default implementation for a authentication manager, right? So if you see, the provider manager is the default authentication. Until unless you really want to customize this, for most of the use cases, the provider manager is going to fulfill most of your requirements. You don't have to create your own authentication manager, right? All right. And now it is going to get into the authentication method, right? So let's go to the next point. All right. Now, if I will go point back to this one. So my authentication manager will have a list of the different providers. It's not a one provider, there can be a multiple providers. Now the authentication manager is responsible to see which authentication provider should be used to authenticate the incoming request, right? For example, if it's a username and password, there will be some specific type of authentication provider which knows how to validate this one. But let's say if it's a single sign-on request or it's an LDAP request, probably the one which we are using for a username password will not help you, right? So there has to be a different kind of a provider which understand the request, and that providers know how to kind of validate or verify that data, right? Okay, now it will basically do nothing but get a list of the providers, and let me increase size, and I will also provide you. So this is an anonymous authentication provider, right? Okay, now it says, so that other interesting thing is to class. Now to class is what? The username password authentication token. That's what our username and password authentication filter does, right? It uses that username and password, created an authentication token. And if you remember from the authentication providers where I was giving an overview of the providers, one of the method into the provider is, okay, increase size, support, right? So this method tells the provider manager that for a given request or for a given class, is the provider which is into the picture supports it or not, right? So now our provider is anonymous user authentication provider, right? And if I go to the anonymous user authentication provider for now, right, it says that it only support this token, anonymous authentication token, while in our case it is the username password authentication token, this one. So it does not support this one. So if you see, it will come to the continue condition because this provider does not know how to validate the username password authentication token. All right, and as I said, right, there can be a multiple providers which can be configured for a given authentication, for given a provider manager. So let's see. Now if you see authentication is again the username password authentication token. So our interest is again the provider. Now our provider is DAO authentication provider, right? And if you let me open one thing for you. Right, so from the previous one we have configured this provider manager, and that's exactly what the provider is, right? DAO authentication provider. All right, let's close this one. Now it says, now we got the provider. Now we basically want to check whether this provider supports it or not. Okay, so let's go there, and you see it says that it supports the username password authentication token. That's what we have created earlier, right? Now the thing is, it will match. Okay, and we will go to the next statement, which is we will going to call the authentication method of the given provider. Okay, so now our provider is DAO authentication provider, and we are going to call the authentication method. All right, so I will not go into more details here what is happening. Let me increase. Okay, so what I am interested is in this method. So before that, it is doing some logic. It's trying to see if there is any user into the cache. We will talk about that one, but this is the first request, so there will be no user into the cache. Okay, so now it's going to get to retrieve the user. All right, okay, now within our DAO authentication provider, what it is doing is it is calling the user detail service and call the load user by username method, right? It's basically calling that method to load the user, right? And if again from the last one, we already saw that we have injected the custom user detail service, right? So in our case, the custom user detail service is there. And if I want to go there, this is our custom user detail service, right? Okay, and then it creates the user. All right, so it basically now we have the user, but the entire the whole idea which I want to show you is that let's reiterate one how it is the complete login process works so far. Is the first thing, this filter chain intercept the incoming login request. It basically doing nothing but extracting out the username and password from the request, and then creating this username password authentication token, right? And then the system is picking up the authentication manager, which is our provider manager, the implementation is, and then provider manager start picking the individual providers, and it basically compare what kind of a token is coming into the request. And within the provider managers, okay, there's a method support which tells if it can handle the given request or not. And then if it is authenticated, these are the post step. It called the session authentication strategies, and then security context holders and all those things. Okay, so I'm quickly going to cover those as well. Okay, now these are the additional check. So we have got that result, okay, authentication result, which is nothing but a pre-populated object with all the details. Now this is so what is going to happen is now we are going to the Spring Security is going to call the session strategy, because now we are authenticated. It want to make sure that the session information is updated with the current user. All the right things are available into the system. Okay, so we are almost done with the authentication, right? So this part is done. Now this is the post success process, right? If you see successful authentication, what we are going to do is we are going to execute few steps. All right, now the first step is, I was showing you, right? It is after setting the session, which we did into the earlier step, it is setting the security context, right? That is required. And as I was telling, this is the central location where all the authentication objects are stored. Okay, the next step it is going to do is it is going to call the login success. For example, if you want to remember it, next time user come into your site and it should automatically log in, that's where the remember me service get into the picture. It creates some cookies and store into your browser or into the database. We will talk about that one, but in this case it's a null remember me service because we have not configured any remember me service. Okay, last step what I was talking about is the authentication success handler. So these are the success handlers. I will be talking about that into the next lesson, but the idea behind the success handlers are that after the successful login, you want to do few steps. For example, you want to redirect the user to a specific landing page based upon their profile. So you can do those kind of a thing into the success handlers, or you want to kind of pre-perform certain things. For example, you want to set the session currency, customer profile, customer language, or a country. You can do those into the success handlers. All right. quickly want to give you an overview what will happen if, let's say, the validation fails, right? So I'm filling some random password. We go to our attempt authentication. I'm not going to get into the inside of this one. So you see we have an authentication exception, right? And again, from the initial discussion, I told you that if the authentication is successful, you will get a fully initialized authentication object, what we have seen earlier. And if there is any, if its validation fails, it's not able to get that information, it's going to throw an exception, which is an authentication exception, right? Now it catches it, and now it is going to do certain steps. The first thing is it's going to clear the security context holder, which is the first step to make sure that there is no invalid or a stale data into the security context holder. And this is very critical, as after the authentication, everything is stored into the security context holder. There is no other relation. That's the only place Spring Security will look for the authenticated object. All right. Okay, the remember me service login fail, again this is going to be null remember me service because we have not configured. But the whole idea is, if there is a cookie, remember me cookie created on your browser, or if there is something stored into the database, it is going to clear that out. And the last thing is the failure handlers. Again, it's very similar to the success handlers. The only difference is it is going to perform the post failure steps. If we want to clear some session data which you have shared, or you want to clear something from the user profile, you can go ahead and do all those things. All right. So I hope this will give you at least a better understanding of how we were talking about a lot of different jargons, for example, filters, provider managers, how those things works together, right? The intention for this tutorial was to give you an idea how the internals works. There are still many things which we are going to cover. For example, the filter chains, delegating filter proxy, and how those works. I will be covering it because those are a little advanced topics, but I'm very sure that this will at least help you to understand the workflow of the Spring Security. And if you like these videos, please don't forget to subscribe to my channel.